Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. I'm Angela Wolf, and we are at your side virtually. Brother Brand Ambassador here, and we are live on the Brother Sewing and Crafting YouTube and Facebook page so we can see your comments. Be sure to say hi, and I see some of you that I met last week at the Sew Fest. Hello, great to see you. All right, so today we've got the fabulous Cindy Hogan, another brand ambassador, and she's got a really fun project for you. So I just have to ask, Arnell, I just saw you. Great to see you again. I love it when we have live shows for the whole week because we can hang out with all of you. So say where you're from, say hi. You never know if your neighbor's sewing next to you or fishing these days. You just never know. So let's bring Cindy to the party. Hi, Cindy. How are you?
Great. How are you, Angela?
Are you sewing or fishing today? I mean, yeah, or one.
Well, I may be swimming as much rain as we've had.
One or the other, right?
Yeah, that golf course behind me may get a little, is getting a little full on the side. So.
All right. So I was telling everyone, and for those of you who haven't met Cindy yet, I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, she is our software guru. She always has a show on Tuesday afternoons at 4:30 Eastern. Am I correct on that?
Yep. 3:30 Central.
Can't miss it. But today, you're showing us a really fun project using the Luminaire and the ScanNCut.
Yes, ma'am, I am. So, and you can do it on any sewing machine. I'm just going to show you an extra feature on the Luminaire that makes it kind of easy and neat, but you could do it with any of them. And you could actually do it no-sew totally if you want.
Oh, no-sew. Well, we're on the sewing and crafting page. Of course we want to sew.
We're going to sew. It just takes it from simple to elevated if you do a little bit. So it is a tray that's built into Canvas Workspace, and I've been wanting to make this thing for kazoodles for a long time. But we never had the tools that made it easy to do it. Cutting felt with the regular blade was a bit more challenging. So it's not quite as easy as it is with a rotary auto blade. So this is what we're doing.
Oh, let me see that. Oh, that's so cute.
And so we're going to do endpoint sewing. The box itself, the tray itself, you could do it without any decoration if you want to. It's super simple, cuts pretty quickly. In relative terms, I mean, you could have something out 10 minutes.
That's really
just did the box itself.
You know, you just made me think of something. There's, every week we get new people that are watching that maybe haven't been here and didn't realize that all the new products came out. What the heck is a rotary cutter? They're like, what is that? I have a ScanNCut. I don't have that. So will you tell them what it is and if they can get it on their machine?
The rotary auto blade is a new blade with a rotary blade on it. Hold on, let me go grab it.
Of course, I'm going to make you run across the room. It's super cool. You don't want to miss this, by the way. It cuts everything. Well, almost everything.
All right. So it's a new blade. It comes as a kit, and any DX model can use it. So if your machine says SDX on it, it will be able to use this. If it's one of the older machines like the ScanNCut, the original ScanNCut or the ScanNCut 1, it will not. Anything that has auto blade technology is and that's what the DX stands for. It has a little teeny tiny, let me put my hand behind that, see if you can see it. It has a little teeny tiny rolling blade on it.
It's itsy bitsy. It's like itsy bitsy.
It is. I mean, it's a teeny tiny one. Now, the difference between this one and the other blades is that it rolls across your fabric just like a regular rotary blade does. Instead of dragging, our normal blades drag across the fabric. So this allows us to cut delicate fabrics. So I can cut lace, I can cut tulle, I can cut satin, I can cut just a huge variety of things. Velveteen. I've cut a ton of stuff with this little guy because just the way he works. And your fabric still has to have good contact to the mat, but it doesn't have to be super glued to it.
And that's awesome.
So you can use some of the fabrics I've used my low tack mat with. I've done stretch knits. So yeah, it's amazing what this guy can cut. And those we've wanted to cut felts for a long time, the inexpensive craft felts, because it's a quick and easy and inexpensive project for you to do. And it just really was one of those, well, you have to put backing on it. You have to put backing on it. Well, you don't have to put backing on it now. And you don't have to back your regular fabrics either. So this allows you to cut fabrics without stiffening them, without adding a backing to them. It just is amazing the way that it works. So I mean, that's one of the things that I want you all to understand is that this eliminates that need to prep your fabrics. Okay.
Which we're all doing. You can see everybody in the audience doing the happy dance, because when you say lace and you say tulle and you say all these awesome materials that before we couldn't cut with that. I mean, we could, but it was like really sketchy. This is now it's like, boom, perfect.
Yeah, it works beautifully. Now, what I will say is that unlike our regular blades, this one can't stop on a dime because it rolls, okay? So you have to keep that in mind. It is not going to be for your totally intricate designs. First of all, it'd take it a million years, because what's auto about it is it has to stop and adjust the blade direction. So as so it will stop quite a few times. Okay.
All right. So you're going to be using that today while you're cutting that beautiful felt, and we're going to create this from beginning to end. Everybody can just follow along. Is that how this is going to work?
That's how it's going to work. We're going to do I've got the individual pieces parts ready to go, but I do want to share where you get the project from, where I got both parts of the project from, and we'll go from there. Okay. And the Rotary Auto Blade kit should be hitting the stores soon. I know that we've had a little hiccup with some supply chain issues, but I think things should be getting there. So
I don't think Brother's the only one. It's kind of like all across the board.
Exactly. So COVID is still rearing its ugly head.
It sure is.
Want to share my screen?
Yes, and by the way, I just want to let you all know that if you're watching this, sometimes when you're doing a project, you might want to watch all the way through, and then you can do it back and watch it over, which I know many of you like to do. So if you're on Facebook, click share, add it to your own page, and then it's right there. You don't have to go find it. And if you're on YouTube, you can add it, share it to your page, and then it's always there too. So you can go back, follow along, and then this time you can just watch and ask questions. All right, Cindy, there's your page.
Okay, so I've got my Canvas projects up, and if you don't know where to get them, it automatically loads when you open the software, but this little icon right here will bring back the Canvas library projects. Simply type in tray in the search menu and press enter, and the reversible felt tray is the one that we're going to make. And as I said, it's super simple. You can get the PDF recipe, you can watch it. I'm just going to open it up for you to see, but it really is not a hard project. Now, I modified mine. I ironed my two pieces of felt together with one piece of an adhesive backing. And before, when you had to use the regular blade, you couldn't adhere them together at the beginning. And I think it makes for a cleaner look. So it is simply one piece. We're going to select it and put it down on our page. There it is. And now let's just transfer that to my ScanNCut. So I'm going to go up to File, Export Oh, y'all didn't get to see the directions, did you? They went on the wrong screen. Sorry, hold on here. Here are the directions. In the original directions, they have you putting a piece of iron on in the back of both of them. My modification was I ironed it onto the back of one fabric and then pressed the two together. So you're double-sided fusible. And then they show you how to put it together. So it really is not hard. I'm going to close all my tabs here, and there's our project. Okay, so let's transfer this to my ScanNCut machine. And once that's done, I'll show you where the other parts are. So that's transferred. So I'm just going to do new project.
You know, Cindy, we're watching you do that transfer, and I think a lot of people are like, how did she just do that? That is so cool. The ScanNCut keeps getting better and better and better, easier to use, and it talks to our other machine.
Yes. I mean, if you have an SDX machine, if you've set up the wireless connection, Canvas Workspace will transfer it there really quick. So my next one, I went for, I think I chose autumn. There are search options here. I got to get my mouse back over here. Let's click autumn. When I selected autumn, there's an autumn message card. And what I wanted was the leaves and the acorn. And that's this part right here. So now I'm going to close that out. I didn't like that leaf, so I'm not going to use it. These are the ones that I cut. So I did one of every color. So you could do 4. So let me do duplicate, and we'll duplicate that 4 times. And I think I flipped 2 of them, so you can come and grab 2 of them together. I'm just going to highlight those 2. And in my edit menu here, there's my flip key. And I think I did 2 on each. Actually, I ended up doing 3, but I liked 2 better. So I'm going to duplicate these. And I actually, if you noticed, I made my tassels out of that as well. So I had 2 more so that I could actually 4 more. So I could have a front and a back. I'm not going to actually do all those because I've got plenty of them today. We'll go ahead and just leave it like this. I'll show you what I've done though. All right. So now I'm actually going to go ahead and go start cutting the other thing. So Angela, you can we would do the same thing, file, transfer, but if I export this right now, it will overwrite the one that's there.
Okay.
So I don't want to do that just yet. I want to cut the first one first. Okay. So let's go over to the other camera and I'll meet you over there.
Sounds good. While she's switching, don't forget, if you have questions, be sure to ask them. And by the way, the rotary blade, I see some of you have ordered it. When it comes in, you can order it though. Just visit your brother dealer to get it. And I see Cindy, but all I see is a dark screen. She'll be back in a second. So by the way, what is on your sewing table today? I would love to know because I made this cute top this morning. I thought, you know what? I've got 3 live shows today. I have to have something new to wear. And so this is something new and fabulous, except I broke the rule while I'm waiting for Cindy to come on. I didn't pre-wash my fabric again. So if I start sneezing, you know why. All right, Cindy is back. There you are. We've got you, but we can't hear you. She'll get that fixed. It just takes a few minutes. You know, live shows. At least she's still on there, right? I know. Oh, thanks. So, well, we might as well just go to the shirt while we're waiting for Cindy. It's a ruche tee, and I added some elastic to my sleeves. The Fashion Sewing Club has been working on that lately. And then I made a really interesting collar. So, just something new. How many of you, by the way, were at SewFest last week? Was that fun or what? All right, I think I see Cindy now. Can we hear her? Cindy, we can't hear you yet. And I don't know enough sign language. I'm working on it, but. Oh, pillowcases, Tana. That's cool. Thanks, Belle. All right, Cindy, we can't hear you, so we'll just keep her here for a second until she pops in. Ooh.
Okay, Angela, I'm going to have to yell.
You're here. Yay.
I'm just going to have to yell across the room.
Okay.
For some reason, the microphones are not playing nice with me today.
Well, you know, it's a live show. Why would it? And it's storming here, so I'm probably sending you the vibes. Everybody's saying fine. They love it. And yes, Debbie, she will explain how she does the basket. So, all right, back to Cindy.
Okay, so here I have 2 pieces of felt ironed together. Can you hear me well enough?
Yeah.
Okay. I have them, basically I have Brother iron on fabric contact. You all may thank me for that little guy right there. So all we're going to do is place this on our standard mat. I did choose the standard mat because I was cutting through 2 layers of fabric with an adhesive in the middle of them. So I did want a little bit more grip than my low tack mat today. I'm going to go ahead and take my roller and press it down across it. Now it's ready to go, okay? Once it's nice and adhered there, we're ready to go. All right, so let's touch our home screen here and let's tell it we want to retrieve our data. Because I sent it wirelessly, we want to come from the cloud. I gotta grab my camera thing here. All right, let's load our mat in here, guys. Sorry, I've got it too far away from me today. Resetting up a studio is a little bit more challenging than you would actually think. Carpet in here last week. All right, I'm going to do the background scan because that is one of the things that we love about our ScanNCut machines is the capability of doing a background scan to make sure everything's going to be in the place. My felt is just slightly smaller than my mat, so I want to make sure that everything's going to work where I need it to be. And while that's happening, let's go ahead and put in our rotary auto blade. So you simply place it with the Brother logo facing outward and then press the lock mechanism down. Here we go. It looks like I'm good and in place. So we're ready to go and say, okay. Press please select and then choose cut. With the rotary auto blade, it knows you can't do half cut. So you'll notice that half cut is not there because it does not adjust blade depth. It only does pressure. So we're going to go ahead and press start. And it's going to start cutting. So I'm going to let you see it a little bit while it's cutting it. I've got one already cut, but I'm going to let you watch this for just a little bit.
Hey, Cindy.
Yes, ma'am.
Just real quick, because somebody had popped in or they missed it. What fabric do you have on that mat there?
I have felt, 2 layers of felt, ironed together with the Brother iron-on fabric contact sheets.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so it is basically craft felt, the most inexpensive stuff that you can find out there.
We don't mind having an inexpensive project every once in a while, right?
Exactly. So while that's cutting, since you can see, you can watch its blade adjusting, but I'm going to go ahead and, if you all are okay, I'm going to switch to another camera and show you what else I did here. All right, so you can see that I've got markings on my felt. What I did was I stitched around the bottom and the side so that it would actually fold nicely. And then I put a line from one side to the other and made a end point marking where I wanted to start and stop my stitching. I did that between both sets of holes because this is how it's going to go together. These go on the outside, so your decorative stitching will end right there. Does that make sense?
It is. How thick is your felt there? Someone just asked.
It's less than 3 millimeters. It's about 2 millimeters. I mean, so here's just a basic standard piece of felt. I have 2 layers of that together. And when you press them together, they actually kind of compact a little bit. I must have hit this camera. Yep, there we go. All right, so see how that's my thickness. So it's not terribly thick, but it's not thin either. All right, so I know that doesn't make sense, but it truly, that's just the way, that's the only way I can describe it. It's not too thick, but it's not too thin. But I have a trick for you all when sewing this together. So let's come over here and look at our sewing camera. And the first thing that we will do is stitch around the outside. Now I have a mini project here that I'm going to work on. This one's blank. This one's already been started just so you guys can get an idea of how things work, okay? So this one's blank. Let me slide my camera selection menu over here. Or this is getting complicated today. Okay, so I'm just doing the simple straight stitch middle. And you'll notice that I've got it down here underneath my needle. I'm simply going to drop and make sure I'm in the right spot, and I certainly am. And all I did was put the pedal to the metal and basically stitch along my line. I do have my laser drop guideline here. I don't know if you all can see that or not, so hold on a second. I'll turn off a screen. There we go. Let me find my light. Now you should be able to see my guideline.
So by the way, oh wow, we can see it now. But hey, real quick, those guidelines that did you just chalk those in?
Yes, I just chalked those in.
Okay.
I also have a guideline that I'm working with here. So red may look, but yeah, you can see the red better here.
Yeah, we can see it pretty good. Just look really close. You got it.
So here we go. And I'm going to take my turn.
Oh, are you using the pivot function?
I am using the pivot function, and you want me to show you how to engage that here in a minute?
Everybody loves the pivot function.
I will. The pivot function is a girl's best friend, I will have to say. So now I've gone around the squares. I'm going to go ahead and go to the end, and then I'm going to turn it, come back straight down that same row, go over to the next side and do the same thing. That way everything gets 2 rows of stitching on it. And I didn't have to cut. And I mean, really, this is as easy as it gets. Now, like I said, I made a mini just so that we didn't have to spend all day with me going around things. That could be like watching paint dry. Sounds like the rotary auto blade is done. Now, what I didn't tell you is that with this particular, since we have 2 layers of felt and it doesn't adjust blade depth, with the 2 layers of felt, I found that it did a better job if I went ahead and did a double cut. So once I get this pivoted, I'm going to go back and cut that one more time. I could have actually programmed it to do that by laying 2 of them on top of each other. But that way this reminded me that I needed to tell you all that. I must be about out of thread. I am. Okay, so there we go. All of the stitching lines have 2 layers, and that's ready to go. So let me go back over to the ScanNCut here for a second. And I'm just going to have it. Do y'all trust me to tell it to cut a second time here? So
actually, while you're cutting that,
it will cut in the exact same spot. So I'm going to go ahead and just tell it to cut one more time. And that's why I said we'll let it do its thing. It takes longer to cut with a rotary blade just because it has to adjust that angle so many times. All right, so let's
Cindy, Julie wants to know, what speed do you use with the rotary blade? Is there a certain speed that you put on?
I have mine at the default speed. Okay.
Default speed, that's pretty good. And Cindy wants to know, while you're sewing, what needle are you using?
I'm using a 7511.
7511. There you go. And Mel, you might have missed this when she was talking about it earlier. The rotary blade is for, if I'm correct, any DX model. Is that correct, Cindy?
That is correct. Any DX model can use the rotary auto blade.
All right. Oh, Marissa, she's had one of the first ScanNCuts. By the way, I still have my first ScanNCut. I love it. I have a ton of stuff saved in there, Marissa. So good for you for being one of the first ones. She said she wants a new one for Christmas.
Well, I think she deserves a new one for Christmas. It does make things nice. I mean, we've made enough adjustments and changes that it has made a huge difference now. And they are the only ones that are getting upgrades these days because the parts are just that's just the way it is. All right, stop. And I needed a little bit of bobbin thread. Sorry. Okay, so let me drop in my bobbin. And I will show you that pivot engagement feature here while we're sitting here at the screen.
All right.
Back over, except for I can't. It's stuck.
Oh, hey, Yolanda, you're so sweet. While Cindy's switching her thread, if you like to make your own clothes, you might want to follow some of my YouTube shows, and I have a live show on Wednesdays. It's all garment sewing. And she also says something about do you have to program the new blade in, Cindy?
No, you don't have to program the new blade in. What you do have to do is update your machine so that it recognizes it.
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
So pivots engage just by simply touching this key right here. If you touch the key, the scissors, and the back tack, it will automatically back stitch. When you hit the scissors key, it will back stitch, cut the thread, and then lift your foot. So that's just a little something to keep in mind. So to decorate mine, I used the character decorative stitch, and I went to menu 12. Under there are some leaves. 12-48 is my leaves. And if you want to change the size of them, which I did, I linked the size, the width and the height together by touching this key right here and then touching this link key. And then I changed my size as small as it would go. Now I'm going to engage end point sewing. This allows the machine to know when I've reached the end, and it will finish in a complete stitch. So let me go back in there to that menu. This is stop regardless, and this is stop at a complete stitch. So when you choose this one, and it's not always available, it's only available for certain length stitches. So just keep that in mind. If you see that grayed out, that means your stitch is too long to be able to finish with an even pattern, or the pattern itself can't be adjusted. So now I'm going to show you a cheater's trick. When you have 2 layers of fabric that are thick and you're using your input, if you will get 2 layers of the same type of fabric and put it to the back of it behind your foot, it will evenly feed your fabric in. So we're going to go ahead and flip to this camera. And evidently I hit it. So let me get you back in there. There you go. Sorry for the nausea. We have endpoint sewing on, and now I need to take my endpoint sewing sticker and place it where I want it to finish. And there's a solid line that we want to use. That's my solid line, and I want to put it to the left or right of that solid line. I don't want to do a temporary stop, so I'm moving it out of my field. So you can see how when it gets in the projector, it turns black.
Yeah, we can see that. And actually, I see some people saying, oh my gosh, what is that? Well, that's only on the Luminaire. So if you don't have a Luminaire, you can still do the project. But this is that endpoint sewing that came out that is really, really cool. And that's what she's showing in case you were totally.
That came out last year on the Luminaire. And it is the bomb, I will have to say. All right, so you also get a blue guideline going across here to show you your beginning stitch. But I still like to double check. And I'm going to plop my fabric behind here so that my foot is even when I begin stitching. And there we go. We're ready to take off. And when I get to the end of it, now one thing I want to make sure you do is keep your hand off your sticker. Because if you cover your sticker, it doesn't work.
Or also make sure you put it to the side, because I can say by experience, one time I put it right in the front and I just wasn't even thinking. And of course, it's going to stitch right on top of my sticker. That was a really bonehead thing to do. But it's a sticker and I have more.
And if you watch this blue line, see that's equal to the end of where it's going to stitch. And that blue line gets closer and closer to the other blue line. And it starts to slow down when it has to start readjusting the stitch length. So it's slowed down on me. I've got my pedal to the metal and it is slowed down. And it's going to take it just a few more minutes, and it's basically found it, and it should finish up right here in just a second. Right on my line. And it blinks and tells you I'm done.
I love that part.
And look. How perfect is that?
That looks beautiful. Show the whole thing. Yeah, I love that.
So that's how we did that. And it sounds like my rotary auto blade is finished over there. So we'll go flip back over to that one. And I'm going to transfer my other file from my computer real quick. Same process as I did just a minute ago. We're just going to file, export, transfer. And now let me show you what this guy looks like.
I think this is so.
My hair a lot today. Sorry, guys.
Your hair looks really good today, Cindy. Really good.
All right, so it's finished cutting. I'm going to undo. And let me just lift this lid up a little bit. There's my excess. I'm going to lift this up off my mat. And then you just poke your holes out.
So that's a bigger version. The one you were sewing was a mini version.
Yes, I was working on a mini version because I figured it would take us longer to sew than we needed to sit there and watch. So And basically just poke out your holes and then you're ready to sew. You're ready to mark it and sew once you've got all your holes poked out. All right, so now let's do our leaves and acorns. So there's all mine. Everything's ready to go.
Oh, that was simple. And all you did was tell it to cut twice. That's it.
That's it. I tried it a few different ways, and that was, I tried it with a regular standard blade to see if that would work better. I had the best luck with cutting with my rotary auto blade twice. Okay, so now let's put our other fabrics down on top of here. We'll just throw that in the floor. Where's my roller? And I'm just going to slap them down. Y'all can be fussy about it if you want, but hopefully I've got enough space here to get all of mine on. I may not have enough. I may have to shorten some of my fabric, but we should be okay to get at least a leaf from everything.
There's a lot of questions rolling in. You're going to be busy answering these when you take a break.
Okay, so here are my leaves. We're ready to go.
Look at that, 4 different pieces. I'm just like making sure everybody sees that. That looks really cool.
That is 4 different pieces on my mat all at one time, and I've lost my stylus. You know, the great disappearing stylus act. You got to love it. We're going to cut our home screen. Touch OK. Retrieve our data from the cloud again, because remember, I did that while we were off camera. I just shifted and added in my leaves and acorns. So I'm going to do my background scan so that I can see where to place this on my fabrics. And I really need a stylus for this part.
That's all right. Everyone's laughing. Do you have a hair tie on your wrist, or is that a bracelet?
I do.
Debbie, good job.
I forget about it. Yeah, sorry. I forget it's there. I get hot. So I've learned just to go ahead and put the hair tie on my hand. All right. So all of our fabrics are there. You can see them on my screen. I'm going to take and move my acorn tops to my brown over here. I've got a rubber tip on the back end of this pin. Why is that one grouped? I have no idea. Oh, well, fiddle-dee-dee, I grouped my dang things on Canvas Workspace. I'm going to have to ungroup those. Let me see if I can. Yep, I got to do it on Canvas Workspace. So hold on. We'll ungroup and transfer those over.
So, Judy, I cannot believe it did that with, yes, those holes. It cut out those itsy bitsy holes with the rotary cutter. That's what's so cool. And that fabric does not look very cheap. It actually, or inexpensive or whatever, it actually looks like really expensive felt.
It's not the cheapest that you can find, but it's not $20 a yard felt. It's craft felt, or as we like to call it, crap felt, you know.
Caroline, would it be possible to use a stiffer felt for this or no?
You could. I wouldn't iron both pieces together because I don't know that they would cut all the way through. It may be too thick because the stiffer pieces of felt are thicker. All right, let's retrieve that data again. Now I should be able to move my acorns around without the bottoms. Yes, there we go. All right, so I want my bottoms on my brown down here. This is a whole lot easier with a regular stylus, but like I said, I've set mine down somewhere. One never knows where. And then we want our tops up here.
While she's moving that around, hey, Crystal, when we're finished here, you'll want to go back and watch this over. She walked you through where to get this, how to get it, how to download it, and everything like that. So as soon as we're not live, be sure you're on Facebook. Make sure to share this to your page, and you'll be able to watch that from the beginning.
Yeah, and everything is off Canvas Workspace. So I didn't pull anything from any place else. All right. I want
creatives joining you, Cindy. Can you use cork for this too?
I would think so, yes. I know that it definitely, your standard auto blade can cut through 2 layers of cork without any without any worries.
2 layers.
Of the brother cork. I mean, because it's heat resistant. I know that. I can't vouch for everybody's cork, but I do know that the brother cork is heat resistant. Heat tolerant, I guess I should say. All right, so there we go. We've got one of every color. If you're going to do both sides, obviously you would want to have 2 of every color, but this is good for today. We're going to go ahead and touch OK. Please select, and we want to cut again. And let's go ahead and press start, and it is going to cut our fabrics. And this time, these are single layers, guys. So I haven't done any prep. It is basically, I put them down on my standard mat with my brayer tool. And it's not a brand new standard mat here. This is a well used, I might say, standard mat. So here, oops, let me let you watch it go.
There we go.
And it shouldn't take those terribly long. Well, it's going to take it 12 minutes. I've got some cut so we can continue moving forward. Let me bring this back over here.
It's so quiet.
It is really very, very quiet.
I love how you're showing, though, how you put the 4 different pieces of fabric on there, scanned it in so you could actually see where those were. So you're not wasting fabric, really. I mean, you could have little swatches of whatever, and you're not going to waste it.
My scraps. I mean, truly, whatever's left over from a project, I'll throw in there. And that, I mean, it just makes it easier. So after I did that, I came back in and grabbed my utility stitch again, and I just used my my middle straight stitch. And let me show you down here on my mat, down here in the screen. You can see I've marked the center of where I want my leaves to be. Now, I've got one of every color here, and you can arrange them however you want to. There is no rhyme or reason to this. I just kind of slapped a few leaves down and said, okay, let's go for it. Just, which one am I missing? There we go. So that's my arrangement. You can have them overlapping. It doesn't really matter. You can you are the designer on this. This is just what I did. You could only do 2. You can have fun with it. And then I simply did a partial stitch down the middle. So I'm going to put my needle down and just kind of stitch along the middle of it. And I will tell you that I would normally match my thread to the back of my project, but I'm going to leave it at orange and not worry about it.
I'm just amazed at how those leaves are so tiny and curvy, and it cut that with no problem. I mean, that's a testimony right there of
I mean, truly, it did a great job. And I did use brown thread on mine, but I just left it at my orange here for this one, guys. And I didn't stitch all the way down through them. You can if you want. I wanted mine to have a little bit of movement to be able to lift. And that you can hear it still cutting away back there in the background. You can do a tie off. Usually I would tell you to tie off here, just simply because it will do a better job for you holding your stitches.
Lynn, that's a good tip. She says, when transferring from Canvas Workspace, be sure your ScanNCut is turned on. That's a good tip, Lynn.
It doesn't have to be, though.
It doesn't?
No, it does not have to be. Your Luminaire has to be. If from VES4, if you're transferring wirelessly to the Luminaire, it has to be on. But the ScanNCut does not have to be powered on. All right, so now we're going to switch over to a blanket stitch. And that is this guy on my quilting stitches. There's our blanket stitch. And you can adjust your size if you want, but I didn't. I kind of left everything at defaults for you guys. Oh, wrong color. There we go. I got excited in cutting these and cut them on the wrong color. So I've got some that are right colored, some that are wrong. So I am going to simply place my one down at the end, and we're just going to start.
Bring me to the other camera, will you?
Oh, oops, sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This I tend to go slowly with, guys, just simply, oh, wait a minute. We need an accent color for this. It will be much prettier if I do brown rather than orange on my acorns. And there we go. Let me thread that. What do we do without an automatic needle threader? I don't know. All right.
Claudia wants to know, could you use fusible on the back of those pieces, or would you have to use something besides a rotary cutter if you did that?
I did not use fusible on these. These are raw. If I used fusible, I would use my standard blade.
Yeah, there you go, Claudia. That's what I was just looking for. So you could use fusible if you wanted it to, if you want to make it easy like that, but then I wouldn't use the rotary blade.
Yeah, this fabric doesn't need it because it's not going to fray, and these pieces are not huge. I'm appliquing them down basically here with my blanket stitch. And usually I go pretty slow around here. And I must have my guideline not lined up. So when I get to my point, I'm just going to go ahead and turn a little bit there so that it goes in the center. And guys, you can speed sew if you want, but there's no rule that says you have to go fast. Just because your machine can drive like a Cadillac doesn't mean you can't slow down a little bit when you're doing teeny tiny work. And when I'm doing precision work like this, I do tend to slow down. It's not she who gets they're the fastest. And I am just about at the end of my piece here, and I am done. I'm going to do my tie off with the circle on the front of your machine so it ties off in place. And then, so there we go. That's blanket stitched down. I usually come in and trim anything off before I go on to the next part. Now I'm just going to lay this down on top.
Hey, Cindy, show that blanket stitch a little closer because I think that is so beautiful, and just put it under the light there, under the projector light. You can really see it there. Yeah, look at that. That's such a cute stitch.
And really, guys, it's built in. You control it. And as I said, when you're going around curves and things, go ahead and slow down. You don't have to go fast. It's not required. I'm going to switch back to my straight stitch just so you know what I'm doing here. I'm not going to switch cameras on you because you don't really need to see me pick that same stitch. It's stitch 1-03. And I'm just going to go diagonally on this to make me kind of kind of looks like an acorn stitch. So let's go forth and multiply here. So I'm going to go diagonally across this. Do my tie off. And I did that across a couple of times. And then I went back across the opposite direction. And once I'm done with this, I did the same thing to the other acorn, just so you know. Oh, wrong button. Rotate it 90 degrees and come at it the other angle. Oh, fiddly-dee, I keep doing that. Any questions, Angela?
We're just like mesmerized watching you. Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to be watching for questions? I'm like, I love that stitch. There are so a few questions. I was waiting though. Mary has a really good question for you. Will those markings you have on there, will they brush away, iron away? What will they do?
They'll brush away. They're just chalk.
Just chalk. Oh, Debbie, I feel for you. She has the same ScanNCut for 5 years. Oh, same two ScanNCut mats for 5 years, and she recently did a boo-boo. She did a multi-cut on paper, and it cut through one of the mats. Ooh, don't you just that?
Had a little pressure going on there, evidently.
Yeah, and Julia had a really good question. She did a lot of these felt ornaments last year. She said her mats were a hot mess. So yours seems to be a little different today. Why? Is it because of the rotary blade that's not pushing that fabric around?
It's not pressing it through. So yes, the rotary blade makes a huge difference. So really, guys, I'll show you my other one up close, and you would do the same thing to the other acorn. Just kind of slap you one down. Where's my bottom?
I think Cindy West said that variegated thread on there would be beautiful, and you know what? It really would.
It really would be, yes. And then just put your second acorn down. And you do the same thing. I mean, just blanket stitch around it and do your little crisscross on it, and you're ready to go. All right, so let me show you how I put the whole kit and caboodle together and I will tell you, I did press, wrong camera, there we go. While that's still cutting, I'm going to show you what I tied it together with. I think the instructions say, I did press mine in, just so you know, so that I get nice crisp seams, so I did press inward. And then you take it and you just turn it in. The instructions say to use leather cording. Well, I didn't have any, and I decided this would be more fun. So I did have jute around. Now, if I can find the end of my jute, that would be a lovely thing. And I have a tapestry needle, and it has a great big eye on it. So I basically threaded my tapestry needle through there. Go down. Go from the inside out. Or you can go the opposite. Actually, I did that backwards. Hold on. I needed to come from the inside first. But if you want it, it depends on if you want it to tie inside or outside. And our fabric is done cutting now, and I'll show you those here in just a second. So we want to go out, in, up.
My goodness, Cindy, anybody that's doing this that has a cat, their cat would be in heaven wanting to just start messing with that ball of yarn.
The ball of yarn, yeah. The big thing of jute. All right, so I'm going to loosen this up a little bit so that I don't have as much to tie off. And cut me an extra string. And so from the opposite side, bring that last piece in from the opposite side. There we go. So now you're ready to tie it. Oops. It does help if you get all the jute through your needle eye, which I didn't do. Let's try that again. And if you're good, you can poke it through without this. I'm not that good. How's that for an answer? And then you're simply ready to tie it off. Now, the other thing that I did that I thought was really fun was, and I've got some things cut here now, so I can do it just from what I've cut. I tied a bow in it.
That's cute.
And let's take these out. So it's this one. Let's unload and lift. So there's my leaf, acorn bottoms.
Oh, look at all those tiny little things.
Acorn tops. All right, guys. So my strings are too long for this particular project, but I'm going to show you what I did. Let's cut them down a little bit. Oops. Hold on. Cut them down a little bit.
Just hold that up, like just go forward just a little bit so we can see the whole thing. There we go.
You would tie it off on both ends. I'm just going to do one here for right now to show you. I have a glue, a fabric glue, and I'm going to glue my ends to glue my acorn, two of my acorns together here. Just snap those two together, and then I'm going to glue. And you can stitch if you want. You can make them a little bit bigger and stitch them if you want. I'm just gluing. Because these are not really going to show that much. My glue is being ornery today. It doesn't want to come out of the bottle. But what they are going to do is be cute on the end of your jute. So I've got them, my acorn to my acorn base, the tops to the bottom. And now I'll put a little bit of glue in between them.
I agree, Lisa. She said it's so cute. Oh, and then you put them at the end. Oh, that's cute.
Then you put them at the end. Now, the fussier you are about this, obviously, the better it's going to look. But we were doing that quick, so there you go. So that's at the end of your...
Hey, Cindy, move that dark piece of fabric so they can see it with the contrast against your... There you go. Oh, yeah. Much better. Oh, my gosh, that's so cute.
So it just gives a little something extra. And so if you just make 4, I mean, basically you have 2 for each side. So you have to have a double and a double. So you have to make 4 extras.
I'm with you, Mary. There's like everyone saying, this is really giving me some creative ideas. She's thinking red and green with candy canes for ornaments.
Oh, yeah.
Very cute.
You could do that. You could actually, all right, so I'm done stitching. Any other questions that I need to show there?
Well, there was one quick question, and you already showed it, but I thought it was, oh, sorry about that. It was important. Who was it that asked if you were using the knee lift? Oh, that Mary was. She said, were you using the knee lift at the sewing machine? And you were not. You were using the pivot feature. So
I was using the pivot, yes.
So Mary, she showed earlier in the video, so when we're finished, go back if you don't know where that is. She was using the pivot feature. So every time she stops, the foot automatically goes up, the needle's down, it flips around, and you're ready to go.
Okay, so are we ready for me to switch my camera back over to me over here?
Sure.
Or do I need to be back over at the machine?
Nope, it looks like the questions, everybody's saying, what a great touch. Peg wants to know, who has this in stock? Well, I don't have a list of dealers that have it in stock, but you can call your local one and hopefully they can order it. Because I see some people here have ordered it, they're waiting, so I don't know for sure. But that is a good question. Any suggestions, Cindy?
Truly, I don't know who has them in stock yet. I honestly don't know. They should be coming in shortly, but I don't know. As they trickle in, it is just the harbor. I mean, I hate to say it, guys, but the ships get backed up in the harbor if there aren't workers to offload the equipment.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, Julia wanted to see your mat. To compare how your mat looks to hers when you're finished. If you have that, do you still have it? Like, I know you have it and stuff, but.
Hold on, let me go back over to the other camera. And is it back over?
Sorry about that.
All right, hold on. Something happened to my camera. I must have hit it. I must have clicked it.
Kelly, oh, Kelly got hers 2 weeks ago. Kelly, you and Peg are friends. Message Peg and tell her where to go.
All right, Angela, it is.
Oh, we lost Cindy. Don't you love the live shows? I know it was a great demo, Caroline. Okay, Kathy's going to get hers in October. That's only a week away. That's not too bad. So what I would suggest is call your dealer, your local dealer, because that's who you always want to support, and order it. And when one gets them, a whole batch of them are going to get them. So I agree, Debbie. All right, she's coming back. There you are.
All right, hold on. I'm just going to hold it up in front of this camera. I cry.
That sounds like a great idea.
I cry uncle. I don't know why it doesn't like me today. So this is my standard mat that is beaten up.
And you just did all of those itsy bitsy leaves on there, and that's all you have on there?
Yeah. Now, wow. I cleaned my mat, but yeah. And this was a new one when I started today.
Wow. So that hardly anything, you just have to clean it, which
you have to keep them clean. And you don't scrub them, you rub them. If you scrub them, you're going to mess them up. So you'll take the glue off of them.
All right, everyone's saying they love this. Awesome project. I agree. I could think of a ton of fun things to do with this.
All right,
I'll put the brother, here's the,
now you can see my little guys.
That's really cute.
You see the top of it?
Did you just do little quilting across the acorns, kind of like a quilt?
Yeah, I just did a little crisscross across the top of the acorns.
Yeah, that's cute.
That was the last thing I was doing.
So a few people were asking while you were doing this, for that rotary blade, the ones that are waiting for it, they're hoping to use it. Is there any learning curve? Is there anything you have to do? Is it half cut, full cut, anything special?
It only does full cuts. There are 2 modes. There's a fine mode and a normal mode. I was using normal mode today.
Okay.
Normal is not as accurate. So if you need something more to stop on a dime, then you need to do, what am I trying to say? You need to do fine mode, but it takes almost 3 times as long to cut if you're in fine mode. For what I was doing today, normal mode worked perfectly. There was no reason for me to go to fine mode.
Perfect. Somebody had asked in the earlier questions about canvas. Please show the threading.
Please show they want me to back my camera up and show the threading, or can you show that? And you don't have a camera set up, do you?
What? Yeah, I do. Threading for what? The machine? I'm thinking she's talking about threading for the basket.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. I'll go grab that.
Hi, Wynn. I think that's what she was talking about. Tell us if that was not it, and I can hook my camera up too. A great project, Charlene.
I mean, the directions on Canvas Workspace actually tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
They tell you which direction. Now I got to find an end of the jute.
You need a cat. Canvas Workspace, there are a ton of tutorials on there, and they're free. That's what I was going to ask. Some of you were asking, what's Canvas Workspace? It's totally free, and there's projects for every season. Every season.
Yes. There's something for every season, and you saw that I just took parts of one project to use in another. Oh wow!
Hey, Julia, I'm thinking that we're gonna have to you're gonna have to rewind to see this, because this is what my nephews would say is a hot mess.
Hot mess. Yes, this is a hot mess. I don't know where the end went. I had it over there. I don't see an end. Oh, so let's just make an end.
While she's playing with her thread, I just want you to know I put her website down below. I put my website, Brothers website. If you go to brothersews.com, they have new blogs up for the sewing and crafting side, totally free. A lot of projects on there. Cindy has her live show, and a lot of you have been asking about the BES4 book that she has. There's her website, and then there's my website. All right, let's see.
All right, so you've got it like this. You put both these sides to the outside after you've trimmed your threads, which I haven't done. Start from the inside, go out. And I'm telling you, these directions are actually on Canvas Workspace. Come back in. Crisscross up. So here I've crisscrossed up. And then take it out of this side and put it in the opposite end. This is where I messed up earlier. Make sure you get all the...
Oh, I'm like leaning over to watch, and we lost her. What the heck? There I get caught for leaning over looking at the questions. We just lost her, so I have no idea what happened. You gotta love live shows. So Shirley, when Cindy pops back in, I do not know what's on her show today, but it is at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Cindy, oh my goodness gracious. So Cindy, I'm leaning over working out and you leave. So I'm totally busted. I was actually reading Cindy's question about the squirrels.
I have no idea what happened. So anyhow, you've got a crisscross on the inside. You put the needle through the other side, and then you're ready to tie it off. I have no idea what happened. All of a sudden, I touched my mouse, and all of a sudden, I'm out.
And I'm busted. I'm like working out and leaning over, reading everybody's questions, waving at Wynn. So That was a great project. Yes, Cindy's got gremlins today. Either that or I've got gremlins that I'm sending over her this way. So great project. Love it. You can rewind, go through there. Cindy, what are you talking about today on your show? You know yet? Because a few ladies, Shirley, Judy, Julia, they all want to know.
I think I'm going to do some decorative fills because I've had a lot of questions about decorative fills this past week. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about decorative fills. And we may work on a project that if they watched SoFest last week, they should have seen my little haunted house. So we may learn how to do that. That
was very, very cute. All right. That's awesome. Cindy, great project. By the way, I have the Instagram up above. We love to see what you're working on. So brother, be sure to tag them. They share it quite often. Here's all the websites down below. We love it if you share us. Cindy and I and brother all have newsletters. We'd love to have that. As you know, Cindy and I are brother brand ambassadors. And we love what we do. And brother, thank you for letting us take over your page. Dalia, how do we get to Cindy's show? You go to Cindy's website and then you go to her Facebook page, which is?
Cynthia's Embroidery, at Cynthia's Embroidery 1.
Cynthia's Embroidery. Oh,
they can definitely follow a link to my Facebook page from my website.
Yes. And tomorrow, Wednesday, I will have a show at 1:30 and I'm doing a big giveaway, Cindy, or announcing a big giveaway because we are celebrating 50,000 YouTube viewers, which I think is awesome. Thanks to all awesome. I know.
Totally awesome.
Call your local brother dealer. I see a few more people saying, where can I get that blade? Call your brother dealer. And you know what? If you call them, they can order it because they're probably putting an order in. So if you let them know, you better order it now. And so you don't have to wait for the second batch coming in.
Yeah.
Right?
Truly. Also, they can watch my live through my Cynthia's Embroidery YouTube channel as well.
Okay, that's what Helen was asking. I know a lot of people, yeah, because I forgot we're on YouTube as well. Okay, perfect. If you have questions, you can always leave comments. Brother Sews is always checking this out. We love when you join us. Brother will be live again on Thursday. What is the project on Thursday? I've got Tina Bartolome will be on, and let me see if I have her so you know. I don't have it on my calendar what she's doing, but she always has a great project. So Cindy, I'm looking forward to seeing you this afternoon. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me, guys. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.